Worlds 2023 Finals is upon us, and this time we have T1 attempting to win their 4th title along with Faker, and Weibo are looking to justify their super team with TheShy and Crisp trying to win their World's 2nd title. Here I'm going to analyze each team's theoretical win condition and the best way they can win this match. I'm going to discuss how they can win by gameplay and draft, as well as the player matchups for each role. Let's talk about the win condition. Now, since I already detailed T1's playstyle in my T1 vs JDG semifinals preview, which I pointed out exactly the style they enacted, by the way, just saying, but the same analysis holds true here. T1 constantly look to create picks or cross-map plays if there's an alternative option on the map. As we saw in their series against JDG, Bard is a great facilitator of a pick playstyle, as this champion prevents enemy side laners from pushing safely without getting picked off. In game 1 of 1335, Keria roams top for a gank, and he portals behind enemy Rumble and uses a short range ult to catch him. Rumble really isn't even pressed up that far, but he gets caught with about 10 seconds left up before his flash. T1 take advantage of that opening and kill him. In game 4 against JDG at 25-20, Keria pings top as he sees Knight isolated against Faker. He runs within range to make Bard ult shorter and catches out Knight. This allows Faker to get the kill and rotate over to get mid tier 2 turret. T1 are a fast team. Among all teams at Worlds, they are tied for first blood, second for first turret taken, and they are the best team at getting first Drake, with 78% of all first Drakes going to T1. It cannot be understated how deadly T1 are at the early game. Long gone are the days where T1 was known for turtling for late game back in 2017. This team is ferocious. As such, there's a couple things to note about T1 which define their playstyle succinctly. Just like I pointed out in the match before against JDG, T1 love to invade for level 1 wards to help owner track the enemy jungler. We even saw that T1 is willing to fight the enemy to establish vision control. Watch out for this as well during their match against Weibo. T1 are looking to allow their bot lane to thrive. The crazy thing is that T1 don't even really help their bot lane an insane amount. It's more so that Gumayusi and Keria are able to win the 2v2 on their own. And as an extra bonus, I'd like to also point out something that I think a lot of people didn't notice, but T1's comms are really good, and they're one of the few teams that I can remember that talk about item spikes. This is also the reason why T1 often will opt into a cross-map play if they think their item spikes don't match well against the enemy. To counter Weibo's playstyle, I think T1 need to look to set up wards in the top side. This will prevent Weibo's major win condition and TheShy from snowballing. Prevent waves crashing and dives topside. You'll notice that often ganks tend to happen when one of the top laners is crashing a wave of minions. This either opens up the pushing top laner to get ganked, or the top laner receiving the wave to get tower dove. You cannot let your top laner get tower dove, or it puts them in a huge deficit of losing minions and usually turret plates, as well as just dying. This is how T1 will win against Weibo. Weibo's playstyle heavily relies on TheShy to carry them to victory. This was obviously very evident in their semifinals match, where they were heavy underdogs against BLG, but TheShy applied early aggression every game and was even given jungle attention by Weibo. In game 1 of the semifinals against BLG, at 1:15, Weibo invade for enemy wraiths, but Ben and On are wrapping around from BLG's side, so it's a 4v3. TheShy is the sacrificial lamb here and gets chased down by Aatrox and Rell. Rell uses Ignite, and TheShy has to use both potions and flash. He now has to recall because he can't land against Aatrox with that low of HP. This means that the early game advantage that Rumble is supposed to have in this matchup is even less now. Luckily, at 9-10, Weibo goes top and zones bin from 3 waves, and TheShy gets 2 plates. The plays don't stop in topside as Weibo returns top at 11:10 to gank bin, right under Jun's nose, and TheShy secures the kill with a long-range ult to finish off bin. You can see how much investment Weibo is willing to give TheShy just to make sure he dominates his lane. Counters to T1, I think have Cadril hold T1 from getting on stage. Actually, we all know Cadril isn't good at suppression. Okay, no, for real though. Here comes the interesting part in Weibo's plan. Many analysts and fans alike think that there's really nothing that Weibo can do to even attempt to win this matchup against T1. While it is definitely going to be hard, the surest way to beat T1 is by noticing their topside tendencies. Unconventional jungle pathing is the surest way to win against T1. In game 1 of LNG versus T1, 5 minutes in, Tarzan goes top and recalls on an enemy ward as it expires. Zika pushes up in lane and Zeus wards lane bush. Zika pings it and says, "Come back top." Tarzan then heads straight top and ganks. This timing is unexpected because he has no jungle camps topside, so why would he be there? Tarzan uses flash and LNG are able to secure first blood. It's awkward pathings like this that can help Weibo throw off T1 to start snowballing the game topside. The true and exploitable gap in T1's armor is Zeus's insistence to have vision to push and crash waves topside. LNG game 1 at 13 minutes in, owner shadows Zeus unnecessarily and could have set up vision in mid and either look for a pick bot or continue the vision line for Herald as it's spawning soon. Even Coach Tom hints at this in their voice comm video, and I'm quite sure this is the play that they're discussing.
이때 누가 부른 거야? 간 거야? 이때 안 가면은 우리 그냥 아래 2개 하고 미드 바텀 쪽 시야 따는 게 훨씬 더 크게 굴러갈 수 있는데 이때 탑 쪽으로 뛴 게 그냥 나는 팀적으로 이때 우리가 굳어버린 게 그냥 진짜 너무 손해라고 생각하긴 해. 그러니까 이 처음에 간 거는 봐줄 수 있다고 생각하긴 하는데 이때가 좀 많이 크긴 한데 이때가 너무 많이 큰 거 같아. 미드바 아트 많이 불편해 보여서 뛴 거 같긴 한데 아래 나도 근데 아래 굴릴 수 있으면은 그냥 감안하고 할 수 있어서 현준이 형이 잘 생각하는 거. 그리고 너도 필요 없으면 너도 얘기를 해. 그냥 안 와도 된다고. 어차피 나도 근데 봐주면 좋은 상황이긴 했어서. 근데 바텀이 훨씬 그러니까 바텀 쪽을
T1 invests in a lot of vision topside, and game 4 of JDG versus T1, T1 have a full line of wards at 4 minutes to help Zeus push topside. And in game 1, owner starts by invading and goes enemy wraiths, red, Krugs, and immediately ganks top to get first blood. Then, at 3:35, he pink wards behind enemy red buff to give Zeus even more vision topside. And at 4:45, he wards Wraith Brush for even more vision for Zeus topside. This allows Zeus at 5:50 the confidence to go in for a tower dive solo kill. The point being is, Weibo can fight this I think one of 2 ways. Either focus vision denial topside so that Zeus cannot push, or gank bot side since Weibo know that most of T1's vision will be focused around top side. And also, T1 will most likely opt into an aggressive pushing bot side, which Weibo can then punish by lack of vision and jungle investment from T1. These are the only 2 ways Weibo wins this series. Alright, let's pause here. Y'all should throw me a subscription. Real quick, my name is Azento and I create analysis on pro games, long-form documentaries, and player interviews. I mostly cover the LCS and I will be making off-season documentaries and analysis on 2024 LCS lineups. Anyways, appreciate you and back to the drafts for both of these teams. T1 have been relying heavily on their bot lane for draft advantages, and it should be no different heading into this match. Keiria's Bard looks absolutely bonkers. If T1 can get this pick again, I think they run it back because T1 really know how to pick people off and create side lane advantages with this pick. I think T1 should look for opportunities with the Caitlyn flex, which Keria did in spring, but he just hasn't pulled out yet. Do not be afraid to try Ashe again. I know it didn't work well against JDG during game 2 as Keria missed a lot of Ashe ults, but this pick really does work so well with T1's strengths, which is picks and cross-map plays. I think they look again to pick this and make something happen with early pick ultimates. For T1's anti-stratting in the draft, I think ban Renata. I know it sounds weird, but Crisp is actually good at this champion, and at this point, I'd say Keria doesn't even need Renata in his pool, and it's more beneficial for Crisp to get than Keria, as I think Keria is good on several other picks, and his champion pool looks much wider than Crisp's. Ban J4 and Poppy. This prevents Weibo from skirmishing early, tower dives, and unconventional pathing with Jarvan as he can jump over walls. Ban Rumble. I think this one's pretty obvious. It's too strong of an early game champion for TheShy to get his hands on. For Weibo's draft, I think their drafting has been great this entire Worlds, and their matchup against BLG had some awesome surprises like Graves top. They need to do more of that, but the flip side of crazy drafts are drafts that don't make any sense. Do not let TheShy pick whatever he wants. Quinn is a good example, as in game 4 against BLG, Weibo picked Quinn into Jax, which is a winning matchup, yes, but it ruined their team composition by not having a middle line for team fights, and BLG just keep lane swapping Jax away from the Quinn until mid game. If you can get Rumble, first pick it. I doubt T1 leave this up though. Match bot lane aggression with equivalent matchups. Heimer is a great pick, but he roamed too much against BLG. The thought process was great, but I wouldn't mind seeing a similarly lane pushing pick like Lux, but either way, play towards your win condition if you draft a pushing lane. For Weibo's anti-stratting in the draft, a Bard ban might be a good idea since it distorts the game too much and Crisp doesn't play it. The difficulty of playing against a Bard isn't so much that it's just a great pick by itself, but it alters the state of the game and how you want to play it through side lanes and in mid and late game. Senna could be worthy of a second ban phase since Crisp doesn't play this either. Please, for the love of God, pinch Faker's champion pool. By the way, he's still only played 3 champions. Just fucking ban Azir and pick Orianna if you're blue side, for the love of God. Seriously, if we don't see this in game 1, I don't think Weibo are even going to try and pinch his pool. And also, consider that Xiaohu's level of play probably couldn't even take advantage of a pinch on Faker. So the reality is, although I would love to see what T1 look like with a champ pool pinch on Faker, realistically, I don't think it really helps Weibo out that much anyways, since it's not a mid lane meta to begin with. For lane matchups, TheShy versus Zeus, definitely give this to TheShy. TheShy is Weibo's only win condition because obviously he's the best top laner in the world to play through. TheShy is able to snowball against any top laner, and Zeus is no exception. TheShy is basically always going to be the better pick against any other top laner in isolation. Expect this matchup to be incredibly volatile though, as it's going to draw a lot of jungle attention. Weibo versus Owner, I definitely give this to Owner. Given his current form, I think he's just proven that he's gotten into his groove over the last 2 series, and he looks like a really strong jungler despite his hiccups in Summer Split of LCK. His ability to track the enemy jungler is very obvious at this point, and not to mention, Owner's mechanics are just absolutely absurd. Did we not just see him flash an Ashe arrow point blank? I'd say the better player here, pound for pound, is Owner. Xiaohu versus Faker, I'd give this to Faker's current form. Xiaohu hasn't really been a factor in his team's win conditions, and that's partly because mid lane hasn't really played a significant role in the world's meta, which is probably a first ever in league history, by the way. So that means mid laners can kind of just sit there and wait until major objectives are up. With that said, Faker is usually first to roam against enemy mid laners, and he's even pulled off the occasional tower dive, but also too, Xiaohu's style is roam as well, so it'll be cool to see both of these playstyles clash. I have questions on Faker's champion pool, but at this point, I'm not even sure if Weibo will contest it, since Xiaohu probably wouldn't be able to take advantage of him anyways. All in all, I think Faker is the stronger player here. Light versus Gumayusi. Light has had a great tournament, and I don't want to take away from that as he's looked really brilliant on the Aphelios pick, but I think Gumayusi owns this matchup. Gumayusi has looked really aggressive in the early laning phase, and he's willing to actually go for 2v2 fights. Gumayusi is looking in top form this world, and it's really only in team fights where Light can have any hope to match against Guma. Crisp versus Keria. I'd give this to Keria. Keria has been the strongest point for T1 out of all members, and he's actually defined the world's meta. There's no contest that Keria is absolutely leagues above Crisp. The only saving grace is that Crisp's champion pool is still quite large, and I think he's actually the proper support to fight against T1 in the finals here, so he's positioned at least to not have his team lose in the draft phase. So to recap, here's what to look for in this matchup. Gameplay wise, T1 are an early game team that looks to cross map a lot and also get picks. Watch out for the level 1 warding strategy of T1. For Weibo play through top and snowball TheShy. Now, what we need to look for in this matchup is watch out for Owner shadowing Zeus in top and see if Weibo can punish T1's warding tendencies to ward for Zeus. For the draft, watch out for Keria's picks like Bard, Ashe, Senna, and Renata. See if Weibo can pinch Faker's champion pool, and watch out for early picks from Weibo like Heimer, Poppy, J4, and especially the Rumble. Thanks for watching and enjoy Worlds Finals. Also, since I didn't leave my personal prediction in the last video, I'll leave one here at the end. T1 3-0.